So we have a bit of an odd story today. That has to do with Microsoft and the recent celebration of the 20th anniversary for the Xbox brand in general, going back to 2001 when they first launched things, even within Microsoft for their documentary that they're doing right now that's released, Power On, where they showcase some of the internal struggles, and that does also include the Red Ring of Death. And it looks like Microsoft is celebrating it, I guess, in a way, and we're going to go over that here today as it has some people kind of split. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if new here to the Spawn Wave Plus channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So I will say that first off, the Power On documentary series that they've released now on YouTube, they just put all the episodes out there, you can go watch them, is very good. There's a lot of very interesting information put in there, stuff we hadn't known about before, like even the DirectX team stealing Windows from another team inside of Microsoft in order to strip down the OS itself to make it lighter and work on the system we know now as that original Xbox. But they also go in depth pretty heavily with the Red Ring of Death, which cost Microsoft over $1 billion to resolve. And it looks like as part of this 20-year celebration, they're actually selling a reference to that massive event with the Red Ring of Death. We can see this posted up. This is over on The Verge, but you can actually go to Microsoft's store. They have like an Xbox store set up for different apparel. Something they are selling is a Red Ring of Death poster for $24.99. You can buy it and they'll ship it off to your house, and you too can hang up what probably haunted you back in the mid-2000s. I mean, statistically, more people have at least experienced the Red Ring than not. I mean, the fail rate was over 50%, and there are a lot of people who experienced it multiple times. Trust me, I saw it firsthand as I did have to work on the Xbox 360 back in the day when it was like at its peak. Like this was like 2009 or so, 2010, when a lot of people had the Xbox 360, and we had the whole lawsuit and class action stuff resolved. They had to cover it for 3 years, and they would even send you a box to send your Xbox back in. But people would just come in with the system because they didn't want to have to wait. What ended up being months of time to get your system back. So a lot of it had to do with the GPU and the poor setup that Microsoft had when they shipped the Xbox 360. And just the way it was built, fortunately going to the slim model did fix a lot of those problems. But them selling a poster seems to have people a bit torn. Because on one side, yes, it is a major piece of Microsoft's history, and I'm glad to see that they're not shying away from it, like kind of sweeping it under the rug. In fact, they seem to call themselves out multiple times in this Power On series, just going over some of the pitfalls and mistakes that they made, even when it comes to the Red Ring of Death. But even just building up the Xbox brand, they were very upfront admitting we didn't know what to do at this point, and we were arguing here, and it seemed like it wasn't actually going to happen because of our own incompetence and failure to understand what the market even wanted at times. But the Red Ring then technically being sold as a poster has people looking at this and saying, well, hold on. That's something that a lot of people went through and they weren't exactly happy about having to go through it. So now you're referencing it with a poster that you're selling for $25. It seems like a strange thing, but remember, they have to make back that billion somehow. Now, obviously, they're not going to make back $1 billion from selling posters for the Red Ring of Death. It was just a strange thing to see pop up on their store. I kind of saw it and was like, all right, that's a bit odd, and then sort of moved on. But there are people who got pretty frustrated with this online, them selling a frustrating part of history for a lot of people, especially if you were one of the people, which I remember this one person who kept coming in with the Red Ring, and we would just say, hey, look, it's covered. You don't have to pay for the repair. You just got to ship it to Microsoft. They had to do that 3 times where they just gave up and were like, you know what, I'm just going to pay to get it repaired. And even then, they just had to end up buying a slim Xbox 360. I feel like some people were just cursed with the Red Ring of Death, and I guess this is a good way for Microsoft to celebrate people having to wrap their system in a towel to then fix it. But let me know what you guys think about this. Were you a bit caught off guard when they announced that they were going to have a poster showing off the Red Ring of Death that you could give Microsoft $25 to hang up in your room? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.